what I love about the womb is that she, and I do like to refer to her as a she, but the way that you relate to your womb may or may not be. So I'm just going to use my language when I describe her. But she definitely feels more like a she than an it, because I really do consider her a place that is an entry point or an access point to that divine feminine power and wisdom and mother energy, of course, being the place that we all began our life in our mother's womb, and the place that we can be a mother by having a child within our womb. And regardless of that, we have that creative potential, that potential to gestate or birth, bring and give life to certain seeds of inspiration, of whatever it is that we want to express and create and give form to, which is the miracle, the miraculous, life-giving power and intelligence of our womb. So it's interesting when I tell people about what I do, and when I mention that I, massage wombs, or that I, teach yoga that's specific to women, a lot of people who I guess aren't so much in this world, like a really common response is like, oh, is that just for pregnant women? Or, it's like the womb is only considered if it's about pregnancy, or if it's about, fertility or getting pregnant, or if the womb is causing pain and suffering. They're kind of usually the only times that a woman or society tends to pay attention to a womb, which is one of the reasons why she is often such an untapped or undertapped resource that we have within us. And yeah, she does have an intelligence that is a uniquely feminine intelligence, that is, that same intelligence that shows up in all of nature through the cycles and the seasons, and our womb, of course, being cyclical with our menstrual cycles, is very connected to the cycles of the moon. And there's a lot about the womb or the uterus on a very physical level that actually teaches us about her wisdom. And having said that, the womb, and the way that when I speak to the womb, I'm usually speaking to, I guess, the energy of the womb, but not always. But just know that even if a woman has had her uterus removed or part of it removed, that she still has a womb space, or like the imprint, the energetic imprint, or the spirit of the womb. So, when I'm tapping into my womb, for example, I'm not always, or not only, just connecting in with the physical organ, which does have intelligence and a lot of energy, and in the actual, tissues of the womb, but also just that energetic space and area, which is at the center of my pelvis. And if you consider that like a well-placed uterus, or the womb is, when she's in her optimal position, she's literally right in the center of the pelvis. And that location is pretty much like right at the center of the woman, or right at the center of the body. So she really is like a center, our center. And she's a physical, like a hollow, like a cave, a receiving place, a place that can hold and gestate, as we've talked about, and a place that can release, whether it's through menstruation or the practice that I shared with you, the womb clearing, is more like energetic release, which the womb, I believe, is she naturally and instinctively knows how to do that. It's just that we might have kind of cut ourselves off from that intelligence and inhibited that instinctual way that the womb is able to clear those imprints or energetic residue that is not of benefit. And you could say that that kind of hollow nature of the womb, the fact that she's like an empty vessel, means that if we go with that law of nature, that nature abhors a vacuum, and there's an empty space, usually it wants to get filled up with something. And so, because unlike our breasts, as you know, with that breast massage, our breasts are a very external expression of our femininity and our kind of maybe our sexuality or our nurturing, our maternal instincts. Our womb and our yoni is a very internal place that takes in rather than kind of expresses out. So it does mean that she is prone to taking in not always what is good for us. So whether that's from, you know, experiences with medical intervention, with penises, with sexual experiences, with, you know, whatever has gone in, even like tampons, for example, or, you know, times that we have not necessarily been as connected or conscious of, you know, of this area, and not as tuned in with or sensitive, because, you know, as I said, we may have been cut off from that. So what can happen when we start to connect with and, you know, activate this space is that we're also in the process bringing forth and bringing out with the potential to then release those imprints that what we don't really want to have inside of us, because the nature of the womb is also very magnetic, meaning that the more we bring our consciousness and our intention and our goodwill and our love and you know, open our womb to that divine feminine energy and wake up and rouse the Shakti there, then we're, you know, we're in harmony and in tune with nature and with life, and like attracting what is reflective of what that inner space is vibrating with. Whereas the womb, when we're not conscious in the space, can become like a storehouse of unconscious and unprocessed things and material and emotions, etc., which is where sometimes that can play out as attracting experiences or situations that reflect that, which ultimately can become an opportunity to bring light to and heal. And what we're going to do tonight is we're going to do a bit of both, because for the womb to really be filled up with the kind of energy that we want to be, that we want to have inside of us, that we want to be magnetizing, and, you know, what we're wanting, the seeds that we're wanting to plant. We need to, I mean, I always love the garden analogy, the metaphor that the womb, she's like a garden, and if we don't pay attention to her, she can get really overgrown with like a lot of weeds and the soil can get a bit either barren or you know, not so healthy and fertile. And then when we start to come in and pull out the weeds and tend to the garden, then you know, and then beautiful things can grow. So I like to share a lot of ways that we can firstly just lovingly tune into and bring presence to, because that in itself, it can take a bit of practice to really affirm that pathway of connection that that I believe is natural, but we may or may not have nurtured it. So